All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for
Morning.
joining us today. My name is Kathy Alfonso. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the Port of New Orleans. And so I wanted to welcome you all to our Maritime Career Info webinar. The Port, we started putting these sessions together in 2019 with the goal to educate our local community members about career opportunities within the maritime sector. I think a lot of times when people think about the local region, the New Orleans region, sometimes people forget about maritime and the opportunities on the river. And so through these sessions, it's our goal to have highlight different speakers that can provide their info with their expertise on their part and the role that they play in our local maritime industry. And so before we get started with our speakers, I did just want to give an overview of the Port of New Orleans and a little bit more information about how we operate as a port. So here at Port Nola, we represent a three-parish jurisdiction of Jefferson, Orleans Parish, and St. Bernard Parish. And so our mission as the port is to drive regional economic prosperity by maximizing the flow of international trade and commerce. And so we are a state agency. We do not collect taxes, and we operate with 4 lines of business. So at the port, we are considered a diverse landlord port. Diverse with our 4 diverse lines of business, and we are a landlord, meaning that we have tenants that lease our real estate and lease our infrastructure from us, and then go and run their own operations and hire their contractors and their employees. So the port itself, we have about roughly 270 employees. But when we look at the bigger scope of our local industry, that number spreads exponentially. And I have a slide about that in just a second. But our first line of business at the port is cargo. So in these pictures, you see containerized cargo out on the terminal. We also have break bulk cargo, which in its most simple form is cargo that is not moved inside a container. We also have rail. The port is strategic partners, has a strategic alignment with the New Orleans Public Belt Railroad, which is a short line railroad that services 6 Class I railroads and the New Orleans terminal. And real estate is also one of our lines of business. Being a landlord port, we have to have some land. And so we also have over 1,000 acres of industrial real estate, a lot of which is located on the Inner Harbor Canal. And our last line of business is cruise. So prior to COVID-19, the Port of New Orleans was the country's 6th largest cruise port. And we all know what COVID did to our local cruise industry. And so we look forward to the rest of the year, to the future, to our cruise industry coming back. As it is safe to do so with the new health protocols in place. Hopefully that is sooner versus later. And so our next slide talks a little bit about that economic impact that I was mentioning. So at the port, we have about 270 jobs at the port as the administration, the Port Authority. When you look at how that ripples into our jurisdiction of Jefferson, Orleans, and St. Bernard Parish, that number grows significantly to a little over 19,000 jobs. And on the slide, you can see also the increase when you look at it from a state and national perspective. Also, the average salary of a Port of New Orleans tenant employee is $74,000 a year. So these are family-supporting jobs, and jobs that really welcome all skill levels, education levels, and really pretty much of all sectors. I mean, really, we're in the maritime sector, but all types of backgrounds, from administration to labor to IT. And this slide highlights some of those roles. And so when you think of jobs in the maritime sector, a lot of people might see the vessels on the river, but they don't fully realize, oh, well, on that, vessel, there's a cook, or, they're beyond just the captain or the pilot, there's engineers on it, or even the government agencies, the regulatory agencies that we work with, such as the Coast Guard and the Army Corps. And so this is a flyer that we have located on the Port website, portnola.com. It is part of our resources page. And so this is something that we like to share with the public. We like to share it with everyone from adults who are looking at potentially switching careers to students as they look to the future for what they are looking to do post-graduation. And so with that being said, I wanted to introduce our panel of speakers today. We are going to be hearing from a few speakers that will highlight their different roles in the port and local maritime industry. And so our first speaker is Janine Mansour. She is our commercial director. So hey, Janine, thank you for joining us. And also I wanted to the rest of our panelists really quick. We are going to have Christopher Hammond from the local ILA 3000. We have Christiane App from J.W. Allen. We have Chris Gilmore from the Port of New Orleans, Ari Ferrand Rogers from the New Orleans Public Belt Railroad and the Port of New Orleans. We have Captain Melanie Montrol from our Harbor Police Department at the Port of New Orleans, and Brian Gibson from Nunez Community College. So we have a full lineup for today. And so with that being said, Janine, why don't you kick us off?
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you to everyone who's joined this morning. I know we're in the age of Zoom and Teams meetings, and we definitely appreciate you spending the time with us this morning to talk more about maritime careers. So just wanted to give you further information on jobs related to the container terminal operations itself. And I'll definitely defer to Chris Hammond for the more detailed discussions about longshoreman jobs and the ILA. But just to give you an idea of our current operations and the related jobs to running a container terminal. So our current container terminal, we have 2 operators. And so as Kathy mentioned, we're a landlord port. So both of these operators are long-term tenants of ours. One is Ports America, which they're the largest stevedoring company in the U.S. And stevedoring, if you're not familiar with the word, just refers to taking cargo on and off a vessel. But because they're stevedores and also terminal operators, they're managing the vessel side, so working cargo on and off the vessel, as well as the picture you see is the terminal, so managing the in and outbound of trucks bringing cargo to the terminal, managing the yard and everything that goes into running the container terminal is actually managed by Ports America, and then the other company is New Orleans Terminal. And so these 2 companies, the management of the companies is not ILA, but then all of the other labor essentially, as Chris will tell you, is ILA, which is International Longshoremen's Association. So IT, just going down our list here. So IT, so the gatehouse is probably where you have really the most IT software, and usually these positions are contracted out, so the terminal operator will hire vendors, but they'll also have some of their own in-house IT folks. Truck drivers, even though we are very much a premier rail port in the entire country, we have the best rail infrastructure, we're still very heavily reliant on truck drivers for delivering cargo to the terminal and also taking cargo out of the terminal. So there's a lot of truck driver opportunities, and these companies are very much hiring right now. The market is very tight, and so a lot of the local trucking companies are hiring right now. Rail operators, so this refers to jobs that are not only tied to the New Orleans Public Belt, which Kathy mentioned is a subsidiary of the Port of New Orleans, but also we have all 6 of the Class 1 railroads. basically the largest railroads in the country, calling New Orleans. So there's also jobs tied to the Class 1s. Tug and towing, so all vessels that are coming into the container terminal are assisted by tugs. And so there's 4 main tug providers that are in the New Orleans area that are servicing our container ships. Security, so while the port has its own harbor police department, the terminal operators also hire their own private security for staffing their own gates. And so there's security related jobs to container terminal operations. And then there's value added services that really run the gamut, but just a few examples are container cleaning and steaming. So, you know, containers have such a huge range of commodities. And so sometimes a shipper will require that the container steam clean. So these are jobs that are, again, tied to the container terminal, and not just steam cleaning, but also fumigation services for certain types of, whether it's an agricultural product that needs to be fumigated. And that's not a holistic list by any means, but there's a whole range of value added services that will really be contracted out. So these companies will come onto the terminal and they're either contracted by the shipper or in some cases, the terminal operator will help facilitate that. So if you go to the next slide, please, Kathy. The next slide will just show you some of the average salaries, and these were taken from payscale.com and glassdoor.com just this month. So they should be up-to-date figures. And again, they're averages, but these, you know, when you compare these average salaries to, let's just say, the tourism and hospitality sector, these are very, as Kathy mentioned, family sustaining salaries, good salaries. And, you know, it's a sampling of jobs. You'll hear from Christy App about the customs brokerage and freight forwarding side. But certainly, if anyone has any additional questions, I'll save that for the Q&A. And that's just a general overview of the different types of jobs. And you'll hear from our next speaker, Chris Hammond, in much more detail about the ILA and longshoreman side.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine.
Of course.
All righty. And so up next, we have Chris Hammond, as Janine mentioned, representing the International Longshoremen's Association. So Chris, thank you for being here. Oh, Chris, I think you're muted.
I'm so sorry. I did mute to be considerate to the other speakers, so sorry about that. I'll try it again and I'll start over again, unfortunately. My name is Christopher Hammond, and I have been a member of the ILA for about 27 years. I've worked as a longshoreman, and I've been an executive officer for about 15 years now. So fairly experienced in actually the day-to-day work as a longshoreman, but I'm also where I've been working in office for quite some time as well. I guess I'll start today. Yeah, I can be contacted, the slide, at chammond@ila3000.org. And the Union Hall is located at 601 Louisiana Avenue. So we actually look right across the street to many of the operations that occur on the port. We're located right on the corner of Louisiana Avenue and Chapatulas. There are 3 unions right now that work in the Port of New Orleans: Local 3000, longshoremen; Local 1497, which are clerks, checkers, and coopers; and also Local 2036, which are the mechanics, maintenance, repair. And all 3 unions operate underneath a master contract. That contract actually goes from Brownsville, Texas, all the way to New York City. So we all operate underneath the same rules. And that actually dictates our wages, our benefits, our policies on safety, and our drug policies as well. So we've been operating now, and our union has been here since 1935, working in the community. I guess I'll tell you a little bit more about our union. In 1980, we had a Black union and a white union, and they were merged because most longshoremen came from the individual communities. So as the actual as our workforce evolved, that's one of the things that happened. So we always pull our workers from our communities, and most people live near the port. Now, Katrina has changed that a little bit now, but most of our workers come right from the local communities to do the work. Next slide, please. Let's see, you'll probably see us, and we're probably an organization most people don't pay attention to. We were one of the first responders during Hurricane Katrina. Most people don't realize most of our dock workers were in their cars working the ships to bring the supplies in during Hurricane Katrina when the first responders were here. Most people don't realize that we're still very active in our communities, where we actually do one of the largest toy drives in the city with Toys for Tots. We also work in several of the churches, and we work with several of the actual community, local community parks, where we actually have our members volunteering time, and we contribute significantly to our community. We go from actually the uptown area from Audubon Park all the way down to Domino Sugar. So quite a few people that work up and down the river that work actually in the port. Normally, am I muted now? Hello? Hello?
Can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, Chris.
Okay. I was muted again for some reason. Next slide, please. Most people ask, what is a longshoreman? Well, longshoremen primarily load cargo on and off the ships, and they actually also deliver cargo in the containerized industry, deliver cargo to the truck drivers to go to their various destinations. Longshoremen operate top loaders, lift trucks, cranes, stick cranes, container gantries, and rubber tire gantries, and all of the actual maritime equipment that's necessary to load cargo on and off ships. Longshoreman is not just one particular job where you're going to drive a lift machine every day. You will probably do a multitude of jobs where you learn how to rig cargo. You learn the safety aspects and actually general cargo, and also container delivery. So most longshoremen do a wide spectrum of jobs. And as you progress in the longshore industry and we hire by a seniority basis, your actual skill level will go up and you'll work more and more. Longshoremen typically hire, and we begin, the process is pretty easy. We come to 601 Louisiana Avenue. Individuals will fill out an actual application. We then train in-house. We will give you the actual introductory classes for Hazmat, what we expect and what your responsibilities are as a longshoreman, safety aspect, and also we do training for sensitivity to working with others. We have quite a few young females that have now come on in the industry, and we're really excited about that. So we do all of that right in-house, and then we set work. We hire daily at 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., 365 days a year for anyone that would like to work as a longshoreman. And as you progress, you actually will be trained and certified in the lift truck, on end trucks or fifth wheels, top loaders, RTGs, and cranes. And what most people don't realize is longshoremen do not have a traditional work schedule like everyone else. We work, well, there's a few people that are standard workers that may work 40-hour-a-week jobs, but longshoremen work according to shipping schedules. And because ships come along all throughout the day and night or throughout the week, we don't work a standard work schedule, and many people get confused. So we work on what's called the clock pattern. Anytime between 8 and 5 will be straight time, Monday through Friday, and all other times are overtime. So to try and scale and gauge a longshoreman working is a lot different from what people normally think about when they think about jobs. We tell everybody ships run on water and not paper. So we are known to work long periods of time and then have periods off. So to try and gauge our salary and what we do is a little bit different. And people need to, I guess, realize that it's much different. Companies don't hold us on salary 40 hours a week. We work for 2 or 3 different companies, and based on a need, guys go out and they're ordered to work by seniority. So once you start and you begin working and you work 700 hours per year through our actual hiring center, you actually get your generous healthcare plan and retirement as well. And also you can receive your training as well based on your ability in seniority. So you'll be trained in the top loader. You'll be trained as a truck driver or a lift driver or whatever it may be. We'll also continue to train you in hazmat as well as necessary. Longshoremen typically begin in a salary at about $36,000 a year and goes all the way up to about $130,000 a year. Now, we do have guys that are really work quite a bit. They may see salaries in excess of $200,000. But those are the guys that are really working workaholics, and they just work every day, every night. But we do see, and we're on the higher end of the scale when we talk about port jobs, just simply because of the overtime that comes in. Let's see, we can be contacted. I think, next slide. You can actually come to put an application in to be a longshoreman, and we can come to our office at 601 Louisiana Avenue, or you can call. We do have limited COVID hours right now because we're open on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. So you may not be able to come in 5 days a week as previously, but you must bring a quick card so that we know you can get on the port and you can actually come in to have employment, your social security card, a state driver's license or ID, so that we can actually take your application, and thereafter we will give you a call and begin your training so that you can come out and begin to work or seek work, because we work as needed. When ships come in, and we have quite a bit of ships, people come in and they make a certain number of hours, which will advance you seniority wise and also give you benefits. So that's what we do. We handle all cargo that come in and out of the port of New Orleans, or we try to at least. We have a long history and proud history. And if anyone has questions about the actual longshore industry, I'd be happy to take those questions. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, Chris. And now I'd like to introduce Christy App. Let me see, Christy, let me pull up your slide here. Yes. All right, welcome, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, and just to be sure, because I know I got screwed with my slides last week, this is my placeholder, right?
I have your slides in here.
Oh, you're awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, so my name is Christy App. Thank you all so much for having me. I've participated in these in the past, and it's always a lot more fun when you're looking out into an audience and you see faces and you can sort of read reactions as opposed to staring at the light on my computer. But regardless, I'm so happy as always to partner with the port and the industry in general. But my name is Christy App. I work for J.W. Allen and Company. We are a freight forwarder and customs broker and global logistics provider. We are a family-owned New Orleans-based company. We've been in New Orleans since 1932, where we were first established as a freight forwarder. As a company, my company itself has a very diverse client portfolio. We handle everything from frozen poultry to chemicals to textile and apparels to hot sauce, pepper mash, anything that goes into building ships, etc. It's a and quite honestly, in times like COVID and the last years and economic up and down, it's really been a good, we prefer to be diverse. We like to be good at a lot of things, and it's served us very well here in New Orleans and in our recent history especially. But from starting as a freight forwarder to now being a full service provider, we are international air and ocean forwarders, customs brokers, property brokers, air carriers. We handle cargo insurance as well as operate as an NBO. If you can hit my next slide. So what is a freight forwarder customs broker? Usually it's, you get a blank stare when I tell people what I do, and then I always just sort of revert to the standard answer, which is we do import export, which is then I usually get the standard, like, Seinfeld joke after it with the Mandalay Company. But in all seriousness, we are essentially a travel agent for cargo. Most freight forwarders and customs brokers are non-asset based. And our main job is to act as a travel agent for that cargo. So getting it from New Orleans to China, from China into, Northwest Louisiana, and arranging everything from from beginning to end that goes in between it, whether it's trucking, ocean freight, air, all the logistics that go into that process, which is quite a lot. As a forwarder and a broker, our expertise really comes for our customers in the fact that we are experts at navigating Customs and Border Protection and all the partner government agencies, which is also known as PGAs. Just like if anybody has ever traveled internationally, when your physical person is coming into the United States, you go through immigration, you go through customs, you make all these declarations about, any items you might have on you above a certain value, et cetera. And that's the same process that happens to cargo on the import side as well as the export side. And as forwarders and brokers, besides, so you have the regulatory knowledge with the government, but really you have to be logistically savvy as well. You're not going to be a good forwarder or broker if you can't find new ways for your customers to save money or become more efficient in their supply chain. So this is, why we like to, if you have a good forwarder and broker, they're going to pay attention to what's going on in the industry. Have good relationships within the industry itself to find if there are new services coming online that, that your customer could possibly take advantage of. And at the same time too, as the economy has evolved, you have very small importers and exporters, and you have very large importers and exporters. Our very large customers, quite honestly, have compliance teams in-house, have logistics teams in-house, so our role varies for them. But for a lot of our smaller customers, our importers and exporters, it becomes our job then as well to make sure we're educating our customers as to any changes that are going on in the industry from a logistics perspective or from a regulatory perspective. If you go to the next slide. All right. So the state of the industry today, it used to be, and I'm sure Chris can talk about this too. I'm sure they have some great photos from back in the day as to how cargo used to move, as to how it moves now. But we're becoming, as an industry, more and more reliant on technology, on systems. And that includes customs. Customs has basically built out a single window called ACE. Really the advent of e-commerce over the last 10 years has completely transformed the industry, how things are regulated. Same thing with our truckers. Truckers used to have paper logs. Now it's e-logs, which, definitely affects and makes, hours of service for our truckers a lot more correct and a little bit more strict. There's also been a big consolidation in the industry over the years. 25 years ago, you probably had 30 to 40 different ocean lines. And now we have, really basically three giant alliances, or three alliances of groups of carriers. So the industry is changing. So it does create a lot of opportunity for people who are tech savvy, for people who have the ability and the vision to see how things are going to change and how you can fit in with that. And that does involve a lot of IT. It involves, taking regulations and seeing how you could look at your business and have the sort of the foresight to see how you could fit in with the change and make sure you survive the change at the same time. Maybe hit the last slide. And from a regulatory perspective, if, there are a lot of opportunities, you look at, FDA, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Customs and Border Protection seems like a natural fit for logistics. But there are a lot of government opportunities in logistics, everything from APHIS to USDA, FDA, every agency listed on the screen. And I think when we last counted, when we're doing our implementation with Customs, I believe it's over 60 government agencies that we interface with now. So there are a lot of opportunities within the industry as well from a government perspective. We interface with all these agencies on a daily basis. But really, in short, it's for us as a broker and a forwarder. I love what I do. I love the fact that I get to interact with all different types of people on a daily basis. You learn about different cultures. You learn about, things that are happening all over the world that affects my customers here. or what's going on here, how that might have an effect on my customer's customer in France. So it really is, it's a great industry to be in, whether it's forwarding or brokerage or ILA or the port. It's really a tremendous industry. And these jobs aren't going away. You know, import and export is not going to be something that'll be phased out. You know, the US economy we very much operate in a global economy. And especially, I know people could relate to that very well when everybody ran out of toilet paper a year ago. So it was, you know, but there is a very big need in supply chain. It's very good jobs. And if you like to learn, it really is a good place to plant yourself and be able to grow vertically. So with that, I'll move on and let our next person take over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christy. All right. Now I'd like to introduce Chris Gilmore, who's the Port's Director of Engineering.
All right, thank you, Kathy. All right, I will talk a little bit about the engineering department here at the Port of New Orleans. Our primary responsibility as the engineering department for the port is to develop and implement the port's capital improvement program. And basically what that includes is the planning, design, and construction of the various projects that keeps the port operational. And that can range anywhere from major rehabs to our facilities for our tenants, to doing rehabs to our admin building. It ranges from very small projects to extremely large projects. So it's always something different, and it's always something very exciting. We are state employees, so we do fall under the civil service program of the state of Louisiana. In the engineering department itself, we do employ various types of engineers, mostly civil engineers, but we do have the capacity to hire and employ both mechanical and structural engineers. We also have construction staff in our department. We have construction engineers as well as construction inspectors and contract managers. We also have what we call program managers, and those are primarily the staff that's responsible for the funding aspects of everything we do here in the engineering department. We'll talk a little bit about an engineer. It is a math and science-based career field. So you do take a lot of math when you're in school. One thing also, engineers have to be naturally curious. Funny story, when I was a kid, I used to like to take apart the toys my parents would purchase for me and see how they worked. Couldn't always put them back together, but I could definitely take them apart. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to see a problem and be able to think your way through the method or process to solve it, which kind of leads into the next bullet is being creative. There are many ways to solve these problems that we're looking at, but you have to think about the most creative way that is economically feasible for your client or the port tenant or the department here, as well as it's got to work. So you've got to be pretty creative in some of the things that you come up with, especially when you are working with a tenant who has a limited budget, or from a state budget, whatever we have those confines to work in. You also have to be a very effective communicator. You can be the greatest engineer in the world, but if you can't relay your plans, your thoughts, your scope to your client or to somebody else who's either going to fund it or permit it or build it, it's not going to do anybody any good. You also have to be able to work with others. And that is kind of goes across the board of everybody talking today. There are very few people in the world today who work in a vacuum. So being able to collaborate and work with others is key. And then also to be an engineer, you are required to go to school. You are required to have a bachelor's degree. There are several state universities here. UNO, they offer an engineering program, same with LSU, Lafayette, as well as Louisiana Tech, any of the other state schools also. From a pay standpoint, as I said, we are kind of guided by the civil service rules, regulations of the state of Louisiana. But we're typically here in the engineering department anywhere from about $60,000 to upwards of $120,000 a year, which again is a very comfortable salary to be making and very easily can support a family. Kathy, that's all I have from the engineering department.
All right, thank you, Chris. And now I'd like to introduce Ari Ferend-Rogers, who's our Director of Organizational Development for both the New Orleans South Belt Railroad and Port Nola. Ari?
Hi, good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
So I am excited to participate in this career info session and basically just briefly discuss careers in railroading. So if you're interested in a career in railroading, there are many different career paths within the industry. Next slide, please. Yeah, I have a copy of it. There you go. Thanks. So if you're dreaming of a career that will be hands-on, advance your skill set, and also allow you to earn and have great potential, then a career in the railroad industry may be the right choice for you. So many railroad jobs have great opportunities for entry-level positions that range from physical labor to logistical management. You can receive on-the-job training and work your way up throughout the industry. Next slide, please. So we offer entry-level jobs in all of our departments, which include engineering, transportation, mechanical, and car. This is an excellent opportunity for individuals to enter the workforce with often little experience and no formal education. It's also a perfect way for workers to gain experience in a new field and learn day-to-day workings of the company and industry. Everyone has to start somewhere, and these positions are often the first step to a very long and rewarding career. Next slide, please. So in our engineering department, we have two different entry-level positions. The first one is a track laborer, which track laborers perform inspections, maintenance, and repairs on rail tracks. It's a physically demanding job that requires a high level of strength. And also you have to be okay and experienced with working outdoors. Welding experience may be useful in this position. And then also we have a bridge painter. So the bridge painter prepares and paints surfaces of our Huey P. Long Bridge, which is an adjacent property and also owned and operated by New Orleans Public Belt Railroad. The painters often use scaffolds, ladders, spider apparatuses, and other fall protection equipment on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So the position requirements for the track laborer is a high school diploma, also previous experience with manual labor, as well as construction experience if necessary. You do have to have a current driver's license with a clear driving record, and also we prefer you to have a Class A CDL license. Next slide, please. Thanks. And so the painter, as well as the track laborer, also should have a high school diploma or equivalent. But with this position, you have to be comfortable working at heights of up to 50 feet and also experience with operating hand and electrical tubes, as well as having a current driver's license with a clear driving record as well. So in our transportation department, our entry-level position is a switchman. And the job of a switchman is to operate switches at different rail intersections. They coordinate with our trained dispatchers and engineers to ensure that the trains pass through intersections safely and timely as well. So this job requires quick reactions and the ability to work under pressure. Next slide, please. The position requirements for switchmen: high school diploma or equivalent, 2 years work experience or training required, as well as different licenses and certifications. The only thing you really need is a current driver's license with a clear driving record, as we do for all of our different positions. Thanks, Kathy. So for the mechanical and car department, we also have 2 entry-level positions. The first is a carman. So the carman ensures the safe operation of rail cars in accordance with the FRA standards. And they also inspect the rail car parts, such as gaskets, air hoses, and different tie-down devices to ensure that everything is safely and there's no defective parts. And a machinist inspects, services, and repairs our locomotives. And they also troubleshoot and repair malfunctions in our engines and locomotive components. So prior experience in automotive repair will be a helpful foundation for that position. Next slide, please. So as far as education requirements for a carman, high school diploma and working knowledge of rail car components will be preferred, as well as a current driver's license. And when we go over to machinists, we'll like you to have some type of knowledge on FRA rules and maintenance of freight cars are preferred. And so this slide will just kind of show you our wages and salary compared to the Louisiana statewide and also the city. So our wages are very significant compared to state and local industries. And so again, a career in railroading is well paid and also very long and rewarding. Next slide, please. And so railroading is a 24/7 operation. So it does require you to work consistently. So we operate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year in all different types of weather conditions. So it's not the typical 9 to 5. Most of our workers work weekends, holidays, and night shifts. And we also require pre-employment, post-accident, and random drug screenings as well. Next slide, please. And so before you apply, I just always tell candidates to please research the job, just to learn a little bit more about our day-to-day tasks and responsibilities, the company and its employees. The more you know about the job, the stronger you will be as a candidate. Next slide, please. And then also, after doing your research on the job, the next step will be to build an effective resume and just ensure that you list your education to date, current contact information, and also just explain to us a little bit about your experience so we can compare it to the job responsibilities and duties of the job position that you're interested in. Next slide, please. And then, of course, after you perform research, build an effective resume, the next step is just to prepare for the interview. So, of course, you would just dress appropriately, arrive early, and be sure to show how past experiences relate to this opportunity, and also provide examples, and also always be prepared with questions. Next slide, please. So if you're interested in working for New Orleans Public Belt Railroad, you can visit our website. That is where you will be able to find the most up-to-date information on job openings and requirements. You can also contact me by phone or email, and my contact information is listed below. Thank you, Kathy.
All right, thank you so much, Ari. And now I'd like to introduce Captain Melanie Montrell from the Harbor Police Department.
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Melanie Montrell. I'm the Assistant Chief of Police here at Harbor Police, and today I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about some of the opportunities for a few good workers who are looking to become a police officer and explore a career field. Next slide, please. All right, just to give you a brief history. So here we have 41 sworn police officers. We have 41 dedicated men and women that help keep the port community safe and enforce the laws within the port's jurisdiction. We've actually been protecting the waterways since 1956 when we obtained our first police and rescue boats. Those boats work not only in the Mississippi River, but in the industrial canal as well, where the port has property and tenants. We protect all of the port as well as the community and as well as our railroad partners. Next slide. I'm going to briefly go over a couple of some of the divisions that we have to give you an inside look for those who may be looking at a career in law enforcement. First, I'll start off with our patrol division. This is the heart of our police department. Obviously, we are here 24/7, and one of our main missions is to focus on crime prevention. And the way we do that is having proactive patrols, being active in a community, and constantly checking our areas. Another focus that we have is community policing. Obviously, our main goal is to protect and serve everyone here. So we are always engaged with the community, always engaged with the port tenants, and we work constantly with our local and federal partners because we have jurisdiction in 3 parishes. So we are in Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Bernard. So oftentimes we'll work with the agencies that are responsible for those areas as well. Next slide, please. So here at Harbor Police, obviously we are unique because not only do we patrol and on land, we also have a Marine division, and the Marine division provides security patrols in the Mississippi River as well as in the Inner Harbor Navigational Canal. One thing that's unique about becoming a harbor police officer is that here we have a 96-foot fire vessel, and all of our police officers cross-train and learn firefighting skills. So if needed, they can actually get on the 96 fire vessel and help there as well. And that's pretty unique because most agencies don't cross over into the fire section of the job, but we do. We also conduct search and rescue missions, and we provide security for major events. When you see, hopefully that'll come back soon, the French Quarter Fest and big events that are along the riverfront, you'll often see our police boat out there providing security for those events as well. We are the ones that respond to all emergencies in the river. So anything that happens, we will be the first person to call to respond to any of those incidents. Next slide, please. Another core component for Harbor Police is our training division. We are a state of Louisiana certified police academy that gives us the opportunity and ability to not only train our own police officers, but we also train other agencies and their officers that are looking to come into this field. Some of the things that our training department focuses on is in-service training. So when you become a harbor police officer, not only are you required to go and successfully complete a police academy, we are one of the agencies that will constantly do training throughout the year to make sure that we have the best trained officers and that we give you all of the tools needed to be successful. We have a high standard of professionalism, honesty, and integrity. And through our in-service training program, we ensure that all officers are trained properly. Some training that we do on an annual basis is our active shooter training, defensive tactics, firearms, hazmat training, and railroad investigations. Next slide, please. So we also have a special response team, which we call our SRT team, and this is actually a team of the best in the agency. So they respond to high-risk situations such as active shooter events. They'll conduct high rescue missions. They also protect high-value assets. And what we mean by high-value assets, that can be on land or in the river. So things as when our cruise ships are in or we have dignitaries come in, then this is where our special response team would be activated. And they maintain the highest level of preparedness and readiness and response capability through extensive training. So on top of the training that we already receive here at Harbor Police, our SRT team goes above and beyond, and they receive additional training. And as I said, they are the best of the best in the agency. Next slide. We also have our criminal investigations IAD division. They are responsible for conducting follow-up investigations. They investigate homeland security incidents, which is obviously always top priority here at the port. They conduct our applicant background investigations, and they also partner with the FBI, Customs, and HSI to combat criminal activity. And they are also the ones that work with the DA's office on all of our criminal cases. Next slide. We relaunched our bicycle division back in 2017, and you may see Harbor Police officers patrolling the riverfront all the way from the French Quarters through Waldenburg, and they also are very active on patrol when we have our cruise vessels in. With the amount of traffic that we get, we found that we were able to reach a lot more people by having the bicycles out during those times. We have state-of-the-art bikes. They have lights, sirens, PA systems, and it's also a way for us to continue our mission on community policing. Next slide, please. So just want to go over some of the benefits of being a Harbor Police officer. Health, dental, and vision is offered here through the port. After 1 year of service, each officer receives state supplemental pay. They receive a uniform allowance, premium pay, paid sick vacation and holidays, and they're also become a part of the Lasers hazard duty retirement system. A good thing about being a part of that hazard duty retirement system is that you are actually vested after 10 years. Meaning that after that time, you are guaranteed some sort of salary for the rest of your life. We also allow off-duty details to help supplement income. Obviously, to want to be a police officer is something it's a calling. We're not going to say, hey, you're going to make the most money in the world, but if you are rewarded by helping the community and giving back, then this is definitely the place for you. And we do allow off-duty details, and officers do pretty well with that. There's career diversity here with things that I mentioned earlier. Not only do we have law enforcement, the traditional law enforcement, we have a Marine division. We're doing firefighting. We have a fire vessel. So it gives you diversity and not just doing the same thing. You know, if you want to be on the bikes, if you want to be in training, those are all things that we offer, and it gives you diversity. And we also have upward movement in the agency for those who want to climb the ladder. Just to give you an example, I started here 20 years ago as a police recruit in the police academy, and I am now the assistant chief of police. So we are definitely a family-oriented police department, and we believe in career advancement. Also, because of the nature of the job, we do provide life insurance that is paid through the port 1 time your salary. And we also provide all uniforms, weapons, body armors. And a plus for us is that we work 12-hour shifts. And what that means is that if you total up what you work in a year, that comes up to about 6 months out the year that you're off based on those 12-hour shifts. Next slide, please. So some of the minimum qualifications that we require is you have to be 21 years of age or older to be a police officer. We do not have a cap on age here. If you can pass the police academy and you are eligible to be a police officer. You must pass the civil service test first. That's the LEAPS 9500 series. You need to have a valid driver's license, and you have to have a good driving record. Obviously, being a police officer and driving in a police car, that is a major part of your job. You have to have a clear criminal background, and you must be in good physical as well as psychological condition and shape. Obviously, being a police officer is a position of trust in the public. So we like to make sure that we have the best possible officers to serve the community. You have to go through a rigorous background investigation, and you have to pass our interview process. So here you can have a state-approved GED or high school diploma, and you must be of good moral character. As I said before, this is a position of public trust. This position comes with a lot of responsibility, and we are looking for people that possess the core values of HPD, and our core values are honor, pride, and dedication. Next slide, please. So I'll end it with this. If you want to come join a law enforcement agency that's different than any other, we are actively recruiting and we look forward to applying. And at this time, if anybody has any questions, I'm here and available. All right, back to you, Kathy.
All right, thank you, Mel, Captain Montrell. And now I'd like to introduce our last speaker, our last panelist, Brian Gibson, who is the Director of Workforce Development for Nunez Community College. Brian, I'm going to make it to where you can share your slides.
Alrighty.
Give me 1 second.
It's disabled, Kathy, still.
Let me, there we go. Okay, it should be available now.
Okay, I'll try. Let's see. Click. Okay, here. Let's share. Did it work? No. Click that again. Okay. My job is done here. I am not ashamed of the help. I'm receiving the help. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Does everyone hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Brian.
great. All righty, guys. So I am Brian Gibson. I am the Director of Workforce Development here at Nunez, and I am honored and privileged to be here and to work for this great institution. We may be one of the smallest of the LCTCS institutions, but we have a mighty great impact here in our local area and beyond. So, and thank you, Kathy, for inviting me. I appreciate it. So Nunez, again, member of the LCTCS institutions here in Louisiana, community colleges, training institutions. We provide custom training on site or on campus. We're a workforce pipeline development because we want to be that pipeline from education and training to employers. And we also have professional development. So I'm going to, let's see here. Give me one moment. Going to move my slide. There we go. All righty. So our mission statement. Oh, sorry. One moment, guys. All righty. Let's see here. So our mission statement at Nunez is we are Nunez Community College is a student-centered institution that delivers relevant and innovative curriculum, integrating the arts, sciences, and humanities, leading to academic credentials, workforce opportunities. Nunez serves a greater role in the community by engaging with partners to support student success and personal growth. And so everything we do, we want to lead back to that mission. In our course offering, our training offerings, we want to have everything lead back to that mission statement. So this screen here, since we're on the credential-based workforce side, we offer different training programs. We've been involved in Reboot Louisiana, and for those who are not familiar with that, the governor decided that he wanted the community colleges to have an active role in training, developing those citizens, especially those who are affected by COVID, to get back in the workforce, to be trained, because they might not be doing the same thing that they were before, especially those in the hospitality industry. Whatever you were doing before, if you're affected by COVID, you may not be able to go back to that. So retraining in possibly a different field. So the government wanted us to train and have ready approximately 5,000 people to get back to get back into the workforce. So we have been committed to do that here at Nunez. So different training programs we have. We have the NCCER core construction. And what that is introduction. And where you learn and touch upon different fields, such as the HVAC, instrumentation, electrical, carpentry. You learn about leadership skills, hands-on tools and electrical tools, and just getting you prepared to decide what you want to do after that. And then you can go into your NCCER HVAC, which is heating and air conditioning. You can go into instrumentation. You can go into electrical 1, all the way from electrical 1 through 4. You can go into NCCER carpentry, again, 1 through 4. So that is it's a training that is less than 8 weeks in some cases, but it prepares you for employment. We also have CDL. We have partnered with Coastal Trucking, and so we are producing Class A truck drivers, at a very good rate to go out there and get those trucking jobs. Crane operations, we provide that as well. Welding, we also provide training that as well. And there's other trainings that we have, but these are some of the ones I wanted to highlight to get people ready for those fields. A little bit more about our programs. Again, the core is a prerequisite to all level 1 craft curriculum. Again, it covers basic safety, communication skills, introductions to construction drawings, very important. Again, electrical. Electricians install and maintain residential, commercial, and industrial, and electrical and power systems. Instrumentation, that provides classroom and hands-on training that allows students to develop the knowledge and skills to successfully perform the task required of an entry-level instrument fitter and technician. Of course, HVAC, that's the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning program, provides students with the theory, hands-on learning, and work experience that they need to excel in the HVAC fields. And then carpentry. Again, that is training in all the construction trades and becoming well-rounded in that field. So we, as well as the welding and other things like that, but this is the NCCER programs. Next slide. We also, again, commercial driving. We also provide certification NCCCO for rigor. That's a rigor 1. That's a 5-day. If you're a beginner, it's a 5-day program. With some experience, 3-day program. We also have NCCCO for crane operation that we can provide. We need a minimum of 5 students to do that, but definitely we can offer that. And then we can do recertification for crane operators. And also we can provide training for forklift operators. So we also provide safety awareness, hazmat awareness. That's our 8-hour training or refresher. That's an online or in person. We also have hazmat operations, which is a 16-hour course. That's in person. And there's 2 days, and we can do that consecutively. We also provide OSHA 10 certification. That can be online. And we also have COVID awareness, because COVID is still around. So we can also have COVID awareness training. So we do provide that for employers. Next screen is again, a little bit more about the hazmat training. Again, that we provide the awareness course that can be in person or online. And again, on the other screen there, we also have the operations side, which is important as well. It's more than just awareness. You want to be able to definitely handle how to respond and how to clean those and become trained in how to handle those situations. So we have that as well, and we can provide that training. Nunez offers industry-based training. We have 100% online offerings. We can do customized training, definitely personal growth offerings. We have our STEAM program here. We have our Skill Shop program here. You can also receive your HiSET, which is the old GED. So it's called HiSET now. We also have English as a second language program. And again, our Reboot program. Next screen is more course offerings that we have. We have something unique here at Nunez. We have the aerospace program here, which is one of the only ones in the state. So we have that here at Little Old Nunez. Again, we're small, but we have a great impact here in this state and in this state as well. We also offer wastewater treatment, and collection and distribution, production. So we offer that here as well at Nunez. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Our website is here, www.nunez.edu. Our Executive Dean of Continuing Education is Lenny Lumbehagen. His information is provided there as well as mine. So again, we are here to train, we are here to educate, we are here to provide, again, a pipeline of workers for the Port of New Orleans and maritime industry. So that, again, thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
So with that being said, those were our panelists for today. So I'd like to open up the floor for questions, if anyone has any questions for any of our speakers. And also this session has been recorded, so we will be sharing it on the Port's website and on our social channels. So if you are interested in rewatching and sharing it with anyone that you may know who may be interested, feel free to do so. We should have it up on the website tomorrow. Does anyone have any questions for any of our presenters?
Kathy, this is just a general question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I presume that the jobs that will be available are posted on the website, and that's where we should check periodically?
Yes. So port jobs are posted on portnola.com, As for job opportunities, with some of the different speakers that you heard, ILA, Chris talked a little bit about their hiring process. But as far, and Ari talked about the process over at the Belt. If you're interested in anything at the New Orleans Public Belt, that's railnola.com. But for opportunities specifically at the port, yes, we have our job postings listed on our website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, you all have my email from RSVPing. My email is kathy.alfonso@portnola.com. If anyone has any additional follow-up questions following the session, please feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to connect you with our presenters from today. A huge thank you to all of our presenters